as we welcome in one half of the Deuce Mo podcast. We couldn't afford both of them this week, so we just threw the entire feed to Dave. Dave, we appreciate you. I don't want to keep calling you Dave. I've done that all morning.
Yeah,
David.
I don't know.
David Mason. Deuce Mason here with us.
You hook it up with those skates. You know I can dominate on ice skates. Ice skates, blading. I swear to you, get me on some skate. I don't know how I have that talent. That's like one talent I have. I will fly around those rings. What's that?
You're spinning around. You can do all that.
I mean, I'm not going to be doing jumps, but I'm pretty good for like
like you could spin.
I could do a spin, yeah.
Yeah, I can't do a spin. I'm a decent. I'm cool on the skating rink, but I'm not doing much of. No, I'm not doing no Deuce Mason, obviously.
I mean, what don't you dominate at? I mean, your wardrobe is impeccable today.
Hey, I got the hoodie on. There's nothing like hoodie season. And
for sure.
This is a comfy hoodie, by the way.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. He's rocking the D'Lo and KC Black bottles.
I had to tell Deuce, I thought the coaching staff looked nice yesterday.
What were they wearing?
They had that, little dry fit with the zipper thing. I mean, I'm not. But it looked a lot better than the crew neck. The crew neck, come on, that was inexcusable.
I guess I just don't care. I really don't care. Like, if they want to wear suits, cool. If they want to be a little more casual, you're coaching a basketball game. I think it's kind of weird. It's just same thing in baseball. The managers are in like a full uniform. That's kind of weird. Like, no, hey, let me. Could you imagine if Walton's on the sideline and he was just wearing a Kings uniform?
Did you see?
Well, that's what you did last night. I thought it worked.
I mean, I'm always ready if you guys want.
Oh, here we go. There it is.
Oh, let's go.
Let's go.
I'm done. Between Drake bars and Jersey Deuce, I can't deal with this show anymore.
Hey, this is a sharp jersey, full uniform, baby.
I like the jersey.
That is legit. The question is, that's a sharp uniform, by the way. That looks good, and I believe that is De'Aaron Fox's actual uniform. Can you confirm you slept in De'Aaron Fox's uniform last night?
No, you know what's so funny? I was like, I should just put it on for this. I could just have a little fun with it.
It's a good bit.
Yeah, good bit.
It's a good bit.
It's over now. It's over. Don't worry. The hoodie's back on. We're good.
I like it though. I like it. There was something else I was about to ask you. I can't remember.
Well, as you're thinking about that, can we pass on some news that might be relevant to all of us?
Only if it's good news.
The Hornets say LaMelo Ball is probable and PJ Washington is doubtful for Charlotte's game in Sacramento.
Well, good. I don't want to see PJ Washington come to town and drop a 40 bomb on Sacramento again.
Damn.
Hey, I honestly just want to see PJ succeed. I'm just rooting.
Yeah, that's a good point.
PJ needs to ball out, get this next contract.
I'm just rooting for that, brother, man. Like, do well. Maybe you have a off night, if you will, here in Sacramento. But yeah, I'm rooting for that brother to succeed. But I mean, that was from Mark Stein right there, reporting on some things that the Hornets said. I think all of us, I got a chance to catch the night chat, which is the morning chat for me. But I think all of us were kind of looking forward to seeing Charlotte and seeing this Kings team against this is a pretty young, exciting squad there in Charlotte, Deuce.
Dude, I mean, when I turn on League Pass, that's like the first team I'm like checking in on at like 4 o'clock, 4:30. Are they playing? Let's watch them because they get up and down the floor. Miles Bridges is playing out of his mind right now too. That guy he's a freak athlete, but you could just tell he's worked on his game a lot. And LaMelo, it is crazy how I felt about him before the draft and how I feel about him now. I think so many people were wrong about him. Hell, the Golden State Warriors are wrong. You don't think that right now they're thinking back if they would have just taken LaMelo or Haliburton instead of Wiseman, and Wiseman, it could still work out. But like LaMelo is, to me, just an instant changer for a franchise. The guy, his passing ability, he's got great size. He could shoot it, plays with flair. He's one of the most entertaining like players to watch in the league.
Yeah, man, I love watching LaMelo play out there. And dudes, tell me what you think about this. I told Damian earlier, the Hornets are almost like poor man's, or maybe they're on the same plane as somebody like the Atlanta Hawks right now. And what I mean by that, roster wise, is you look at the Hawks roster and you're like, yo, this guy can play. He's nice. I like his game. Like, this guy's good. Next thing you know, you're 11, 12 people into the roster. The Hornets kind of got the same setup. Like, you can just go down that roster and they got a bunch of guys that I know, me personally, I like Terry Rozier. I like
Dude.
Gordon Hayward and all those guys. Like
Kelly Oubre. I know he had a rough night. I mean, the Hornets were bad last night, but Kelly Oubre's been nice for them. So yeah, they've got long, athletic guys. They move the ball around. They get up and down the floor. It's going to be a tough one. And I know there's like people looking ahead at the schedule a little bit, and it's not as easy as it looks. I think right now there are 5 bad teams in the NBA. Like 5 really bad teams.
Who you got?
And the Kings just played one of them twice.
Yeah, right. You got the Pelicans, you've got Houston, OKC, Detroit, and is it maybe Orlando?
Orlando's 2-7. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, maybe those teams get, my whole point though is look at the standings, man. Everyone's pretty close. I think you're looking at these games every night going, God, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. That's a lot of teams are kind of jammed in there. There's a ton of parity. I can't remember last time we've seen this much parity to start a season in the NBA, and it's great. The games have been entertaining around the league for the most part. It's been fun, but it's challenging. Like you got the Hornets Friday, the Pacers coming to town. I know they got off to a slow start, but LeVert's back. They're getting used to things now. They just beat the Knicks last night. Even going on the road, and I mean, well, you take on the Suns again, then you go on the road, you get the Spurs. They've been in every game, so it's not going to be easy. But the Kings, to their credit, after 8 games with their best player not playing to the level that we all expect them to play, they're 4-4 against like really solid teams.
Yeah. And we talked about it a couple different times. I mean, if you draw it out for 82 games and they're on this 4-4 pace, it's 500. We all were like, yeah, we go with 500, coming into the season. So I like that. The game last night against New Orleans, this may be hyperbole. I don't think it is. I don't know if the Kings the last couple of years win that game. And what I mean by that is they came out, they played relatively well in that first half. And I always felt for whatever, they just couldn't get away from the Pelicans like I thought they should. Like I thought they were playing a lot better than what the score indicated, but New Orleans was hitting threes and they were able to stay within like 4 or 5 points. And then they went on their run. It was like 11-12-0 run. They go up by 6 midway through the third quarter. And I really believe, not that this is some type of championship team now, but I don't think they win that game the last couple of years. Like, and if they do, it's like this close one possession game that they kind of eke out and we're like, man, it was close against New Orleans when it shouldn't have been. Not only did they come back and take care of business, they ran away with that game last night. Do you think that's accurate that maybe they win this game the last couple of years?
100% agree with you. Absolutely. Like even that first half was so weird because it felt like the Kings should have been up by more, but man, there were some weird rebounds off Hornets misses that went long to them. They had, I think, 9 second chance points in the first half. Those were all threes. And it was just those backbreaking things where the Kings get a stop, but the long rebound goes out. Hornets hit a 3 and you're like, that's trash. Like they shouldn't even be in this game, but they were hitting some threes and the Kings weren't hitting threes. And the Kings, when you're taking on competition like the Pelicans right now without Ingram, with Zion still out, and you're at home, these are the games you got to take care of business. But those are the games that the Kings would not take care of business the last couple of years. Like these are the games that you need to win by double digits, take over in the fourth quarter. I don't have a problem with the game being close throughout the game. That's going to happen in the NBA. I mean, even when the Kings were great in the heyday, how many times on like a Tuesday night they're taking on like a bad Nuggets team in the early 2000s, and you're like, why is this game close? And then the guys turn it on in the fourth quarter and they close it out, get the job done. And I like what I saw last night. I thought they played the right way. I think looking at last night, that's kind of when things are going right, that's what it should look like, right? They're pushing the ball. The pace looks great, but they also executing in the half court for really the first time this season. And the reason they were doing that is they were attacking. I mean, from Tyrese to Fox, you had the mid-range going. Davion coming off and attacking and just getting in the paint and making something happen. Guys were moving the ball. It was so nice not to just see three guys standing around while 2 guys go to work or isolation ball. It was probably their most complete performance. I know it was against a team that was undermanned and all that stuff. It's still an NBA team. You got to go out there and execute. They did some nice things last night.
No.
You brought up offensive rebounding. It feels like second chance points have been a killer so far this offseason.
Yeah, I think rebounding is going to be a huge issue for this team all year long. Like when you play these smaller lineups, it's going to be tough. and they have to do a better job because, I think they're giving up close to the most second chance points in the NBA
the most,
right
yeah.
now. Okay,
or at least it was as of yesterday. It was the most.
So it's right there, and those are backbreakers, especially when you are getting some stops. Like, and I think you saw even last night they had some nice moments defensively. Forcing a 24-second violation. They're better defensively. I mean, they're not like great by any means at this point, but part of playing good defense too is getting that rebound, and that has to get better. And that's on the guards too. Everyone, it's that game rebounding. You got to attack the glass and get that board.
Yeah. Terrence in the chat makes me chuckle because he says teams are shooting 100% from 3 on offensive rebound. Like that's what it seems like every time they get an offensive rebound, it's going in on the second chance shot. So they've got to clear that up. The guy who I gave the game ball to last night, Tyrese Haliburton. 20 points, 7 assists. Defensively, I felt in that second quarter he changed the way this Kings team was playing on the defensive end, with not only his individual defense, but his team defense, helping, things of that nature, frustrating Valanciunas. I thought his handprints were all over that game last night. And I think that is something on the low. Like, we hadn't talked about it. I know in the first couple of in the preseason and then in the first couple of regular season games, people were like, oh man, what's going on with Tyrese? I feel like in the last 3 or 4 games, he's starting to get into his groove, and it kind of culminated last night with the way he played yesterday.
Yeah, I think with him, he's got to play aggressive all the time. Offensively, go to the basket. He shot 8 free throws last night. He's never done that before in the NBA. Shot 8 free throws. And like, for him to get to the line and it knocked down 7 of 8, that was really encouraging. You bring up the defense, and on ball, it's not great all the time. He gets beat. But I thought last night his help on Valanciunas was crucial, because if there's one guy that's just destroyed the Kings the last couple of years and who's putting up big numbers this year, it's him. And like, that's a weakness, right? Like, dealing with a guy that size who can do a ton of things offensively, he can stretch the floor, he can come inside and dominate you too. It's a tough challenge. But they gave him some different looks. They frustrated him, and for him to go into the halftime with just 5 points, and 3 of those 5 came from beyond the arc, he did a hell of a job on Valanciunas. Like, that was the one guy I was like really concerned with. And even what they did on Devontae Graham, he's a guy that can get hot. They didn't allow him to get super hot. I think he had 14 points in the first half. Finished with what, 16, I think?
I didn't hear much from him after that.
They did a great job forcing him baseline, not letting him get comfortable in the second half. I was really impressed with what they did. And I'm with what you said when this conversation started. I think last year they probably have a letdown game against the Pelicans.
It's Deuce Mason of the Deuce Mo Podcast with us here on ESPN 1320 KIFM West Sacramento and Odyssey Station, and driven by Lashers, Elk Grove Dodge. Deuce, you were talking about Valanciunas there. We before you joined us, we're talking about Alex Len and how Alex Len is like the poster child for knowing your role. Like, he has a role with this team and he's really good at it. Rashawn Holmes gets tossed. His role has to expand. And spoiler alert, he's really, really good at it.
Alex Len is what the Kings have been seeking. Like, how many times last year were we talking about, man, can someone just play a little toughness, play with a little edge, be nasty out there? That guy's tough. I mean, he's battling Valanciunas, and he picked up some fouls last night. But I don't want guys like Valanciunas scoring easily. Like, if they're going to get buckets, make them earn it. Play them hard, foul them hard, and he comes in and does that. And then what he does offensively, setting good screens. I know we always like to laugh about that. We're all obsessed about an Alex Len screen. But no, honestly, the Kings have been doing a much better job at setting screens. I think I think Rashawn Holmes is now in the top 5 with screen assists per game, which is great. He was number 1. What's that?
I never knew that existed.
Yeah, NBA.com stats. No, but like, getting shooters open, that's a big deal. And getting your guards space to operate, that's huge. So I thought Alex Len was crucial last night. I mean, especially when Holmes gets ejected after picking up his 4th foul, throwing his headband. Like, all right, what are you going to do? He comes in and he's engaged. And same with Tristan Thompson. Like, I can't imagine it's easy to be a vet. He probably thinks he should be playing all the time. And even when he's not playing, he's vocally engaged. He is on his teammates. And then when you ask him to come in and give you some minutes, he comes in. He had a nice block last night when he came into that game.
Yeah. How'd you feel about De'Aaron Fox last night? He had a better statistical game, but it's not like he went for 30. But I know personally just watching him, I just liked his whole demeanor, his whole aura, and the way that he kind of played with a little bit more of a bounce of his step that we didn't see in Utah. Utah, it seemed like the weight of the world was on his shoulder. He played a little freer last night. What did you see from him?
I'm with you, and I love seeing him go into that mid-range. That's a shot that he's pretty good at. Like, don't be shy from it. I don't need you to take 7, 8, 9 3-pointers. He took 3 last night, and they weren't forced. He was 2 of 3. He hit that big one late. I thought he did a good job. Just him getting in the paint creates so much offense for this team. And whether it's him taking a shot, a little mid-range shot, or getting his teammates involved, he had that sweet no-look dime to Alex Glenn in that game that was right after the 3. Yeah. Just, those were the moments I love to see. I felt like he was more himself, and that's what I want to see. Just don't force it. Like, I wasn't hitting the panic button. Of course, the talking points with Fox, I get it. He's the best guy. He gets paid a lot of money. He gets off to a slow start the first 7 games, and all I hear, hey, you should trade him. Trade him for Simmons now. Wait, trade him for Ben Simmons, right? You want to trade him for the guy who mentally can't play right now? What are we talking about here? Like, are guys not allowed to struggle anymore? Is this what we're doing? Dame goes, 10 of 27 last night. Are they talking about Anthony Simons should be starting and trade Dame in Portland?
I like my boy Anthony Simons, though. I do like him.
No, I like him too. But my point is, like, stop the brakes a little bit. Fox, I think, is going to be fine. And he looked a lot better last night. I think last night what impressed me, he had 7 guys in double figures. I felt like it was just a balanced attack. And by the way, here we are like 15 minutes in. We even talked about Harrison Barnes again, who was just, again, efficient like usual. Got to the free throw line, hit some big threes late. Last night, I was impressed by a lot of things, and it was good to see Fox get it going.
I was going to wait till 5 minutes before you left to bring up Harrison Barnes, just so we stay true to brand. But 23 points on 8 field goal attempts. Like, he did everything just easily last night, whether it was a field goal attempt, a 3-point attempt, a free throw attempt, whether it was rebounding, whatever it was. Like, he was just efficient. He's an all-star.
Ooh, an early all-star.
Harrison Barnes is an all-star.
Well, Deuce, you haven't heard. Kings might have 3 all-stars this year.
Well, okay. Who are your 3 Kings all-stars? Because I know Hollinger. I didn't read the piece, but he was kind of hyping.
Oh, it's a doozy. It's a doozy.
Oh, give it to me. I didn't read it yet.
Well, so essentially, basically, to kind of to sum it down a little bit, it's Rashawn Holmes is great.
Okay.
F everyone else. He craps on everyone on the Sacramento Kings. He dumps on Tristan Thompson. And here, I'll give you a couple of lines here, Deuce. Seemingly nobody outside Sacramento knows who Holmes is, but he's building a strong early season case that maybe he should make the All-Star team. Even with De'Aaron Fox's body possessed by the ghost of Corey Joseph, a roster that prominently features Mo Harkless and a rotating cast of bad backup bigs, the Kings are an extremely competent 3-4 after nearly leaving Utah with a win Tuesday night.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes Hollinger gets too caught up in advanced stats. He's on Cleaning the Glass, which I love Cleaning the Glass, or he's on one of these advanced sites, and all he's doing is watching. I
couldn't even read
scores.
That damn site.
And I'm not trying to be like the eye test guy. Can you just watch the games? Can you watch the games instead of looking at the box score and going, "Oh, let me look at the advanced analytics of the lineups that were most effective out there." Tristan Thompson's not perfect. Tristan Thompson's also not playing 25 minutes a night. Alex Len's not playing 25 minutes a night. For what these guys are coming in to do, what their role is to come in and be a big body in there, as Morgan would say, have a little girth in there.
Oh, there
go
it
up
is.
Against some of these bigs in the NBA, where the Kings were not very good last year at defending some of these bigs in the NBA. Every big came in here and had big nights. So to have some extra bodies to throw out there, that's not a bad thing. It kills me, like, some of these national guys when they have these big opinions about teams. I'm like, you don't watch. It's fine. Just say you don't have to have an opinion on something you don't watch. Watch the games and then have an opinion. Don't just go and let me look at the box score at the end of the night. Wow, they played Tristan Thompson That's terrible because he was bad last year in Boston when I was paying attention to the Celtics. Get out of here, clown. Watch the games.
John's a big fan of Jameis Ramsey, by the way. Jameis Ramsey thought he played really well in the summer league.
Okay, I mean,
I just want to remind everybody he did not. Kenny and I didn't know what to do when he said that. It was like, oh, thanks for joining us, John. We'll see you next time. But he really likes Rashawn Holmes, man. He has been consistent in that.
He called De'Aaron Fox the ghost of Corey Joseph.
Yeah. He said he said that De'Aaron Fox's body was possessed by the ghost of Corey Joseph. He also referred to Davion Mitchell as De'Aaron Fox's backup.
Okay. Man.
Yeah. John Hollinger of The Athletic.
I just don't get some of these, and it's not all of them, right? There are writers around the league that I think do a really good job. Like Zach Lowe watches games. I can tell you watches games, and
Zach Harper does. Yeah, too. Yeah.
Watch the game. That's cool, but it just kills me because fans have access to more information and stats than ever. Every game's available somewhere, whether you have League Pass or you go to some illegal stream, you can watch every game. You can't fool these people into thinking you know what you're talking about when you clearly don't. Like, anyway.
And that's what I was saying over the summer. Like, even with the fans being able to watch all these games and get access to this number, John Hollinger, you have the same access. Like, NBA League Pass does a great job of condensing the game. You don't have to watch.
You can watch a game in 38 minutes.
Yes, like then this is your job. Like, just watch the game. But
it's easy to dump on like Sacramento things, right? Like,
of course,
an easy target at this point because they haven't won in a long time. So
who frustrates you more right now, John Hollinger or Tony Brothers?
And Tony Brothers was on one last night. Ooh, he was on one.
He was wilding.
He was not taking anything from anybody.
I have now become extremely frustrated with referees and NBA refereeing because it's not even like against the Kings or anything like that. I think there's just a general incompetence. And I know it's not an easy job. The game's moving fast. It's physical or whatever. But there's just some bare minimum things that I think they just get wrong on a nightly basis. And I'm like, what are you looking at? I don't get it. The inconsistencies, the incompetence. I get frustrated every night.
It's tough because, the last few years, it seems like they blow the whistle on all those ridiculous Harden plays and Trae Young and all the stuff that they are trying to police now. But now it's like an overcorrection. I feel like now they're letting all this content. It's like, wait, so guys can just get smashed around the basket and they're not blowing the whistle now? And it's fine. It's tough as a fan to figure out, okay, what's a foul and what's not, Like, I don't know. Like, have you changed what is a foul in this league? Like, what are we doing here? At the same time, I think the games have been better this year. There have definitely been frustrating calls. I think the officials get a lot of crap, and I can't imagine being an official. I think it's one of the hardest jobs out there. The game is faster than ever. You have to make quick judgment calls, like fast. I know they get paid to do it, but it's not an easy job at all.
TV's Deuce Mason, Deuce Mo Podcast with us here.
It's easy to dump on the officials.
But
how many times have you been like, oh my God, that's a terrible call? And then they show the replay and you're like, all right, that actually wasn't that bad.
A couple of times, but there's things at this point, and it's not an easy job. I refereeing third graders is not easy, right? Like, it's not easy to referee in general. But when they get fooled, when guys like the other night with Davion Mitchell just falls limp to the ground, or somebody's driving to the hole and there's not really a lot of contact, but Devin Booker goes flying 7 feet to the right.
But you know what, though? That play the other night, I'm glad you brought that play up, though, the other night. You're talking about the Davion on Donovan play where Donovan flopped. It would have been nice to have a challenge there. You used it in the first quarter of that game on a play that really had no consequence. Fox with an illegal screen, that was an illegal screen, and it would have been his second foul, but it was early in the game. Like,
you're 100% correct.
Save your challenges for late game situations. Or in a situation where you're like, okay, that's clearly not a foul. And my guy just picked up his fourth. It's the second quarter. We got to keep him in the game. I get that, but you got to be certain. And that's not just on Walton. That's on his staff too. Like, it's tougher on the road games. They're not going to show it on the big screen. You're just not going to get that benefit. But whoever's on your bench, you better be certain. And I also understand that Fox maybe convinced him to do it. I would just have a philosophy as a coach. I am saving my challenges for the second half. I'm not worried about something that's going to happen in the first quarter, because in that situation, I'm challenging that call, and that's a flop.
Right. But and you're 100% right, Deuce. 100%. But back to those referees. That shit. How can you get fooled by that every night? Every night. Donovan just comes down, goes limp with his right leg and falls. You're like, that's a foul. And every time you go back to the replay, it's like, oh, nothing happened. He just fell. And they fall for it every time.
Yeah.
Every time. What is it? Banana in the tailpipe? Every time.
You're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe? Yeah, that's what it is.
Every time.
The players are good, man. They're good at adjusting and acting and doing that like whip back with the neck. They've got it down, man.
You got to make noise when you do it.
Thrown out yesterday because Valanciunas did that. Like there was some kind of they had a collision and Valanciunas does that, gets the foul call. Rashawn just loses it. He's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Is Terrence Davis ever going to play again?
Oof.
Yeah, I think he will. It's, the coaching staff said he had a great training camp, and then, he starts the season, can't make a shot, but then he started to press a little bit. And I felt like then he was taking bad shots. He was forcing it. But I think I'm sorry. I said Terrence Davis, not Buddy Hield. I said Terrence Davis. Hey, give them credit last night. Buddy came out in the fourth quarter, took 3 awful 3-pointers. And you're like, what are you doing here? Walton took them out and didn't put them back in. Yeah. Like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, those were terrible. They weren't even the worst shots of the night for him.
No, he took some bad ones, but he did that. You know what? He's attacking a little more this year, which he's
played really well this season. Yeah. We make sure. I feel like every time we dig Buddy Hield, we have to collectively acknowledge he has played really well this season, and I believe he is directly responsible for 2 of the Kings' 4 victories. So,
100.
With that said, back to Terrence Davis. Sorry,
Terrence. It's a long year. He's going to get an opportunity again, and I like him. I still think he could be a guy that can help you big time off the bench. I know Kenny's high on him too. He can get you buckets, but he had this. Well, I think we talked about this before the season with him. He had a stretch last year where I felt like he missed like 27 threes in a row, and then he ends the season making everything. In the preseason, it seemed like everything was going right for him. Start of the regular season, nothing's going right. So it's a long year. He's got to get ready, and hopefully when he gets back in there, it's in the flow of the offense, because having another guy that can get you buckets is nice. It's the same. I really do like the Kings bench at this point. If Davis can get it going, Mitchell can come in. Mitchell just looks like a vet. I know he had 12 points. I felt like he had 20, but
I'm surprised he's only had 12 too. I felt like he had like 18, 20 points, like you said.
He had a major impact on the game. He's really good. He is a winning player. And then Buddy, he can get you 20 off the bench. They've got some firepower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you surprised that Luke essentially went back to this 8-man rotation? Like if Rashawn Holmes doesn't get thrown out, I don't think Tristan Thompson plays. So it would have been 8 guys. And to Damien's point and his question, like I agree with you, Terrence Davis is going to get a shot, but does it seem like Luke is settling into, I'm only going to go 8, maybe 9 deep every night?
Tough, though. I look at someone like Harrison Barnes, and I feel like we had the conversation last year when he was playing well. The big concern was, but look how many minutes he's playing. And he played, 38 minutes last night on the second night of a back-to-back?
Yeah.
Obviously his numbers will dip a little bit. His efficiency is
like they're not.
The roof. But
no, not. He's going to play like this forever.
Forever. But I would like to, knock those minutes down a little bit. It's a long season, and that's concerning.
But
so
what
I would
can
go
you do
more
there, though? If
you other guys,
I would go some Lewis King minutes. I really would. You got to find a way to make it happen, but I'd go some Lewis.
Freeport Metu run.
If you need to go Bagley for 10 minutes every once in a while, every couple of games. What's that?
Not get out of hand, Deuce.
What, you're done with that? You don't want to see Bagley at all?
I would. I don't know if they want to see Bagley.
Yeah.
What do you think it is? Because I know we've talked extensively about this, and we had conversations as to if he was ever going to play. And he played in that second game when Mo Harkless. There might be a name where that you watch. Like if Mo Harkless misses, it doesn't even have to be an extended period of time. If Mo Harkless misses a game or 2 games, right now, that's the only barometer we have for Marvin Bagley playing. Why do you think they're staying away from playing Marvin Bagley, especially as they're getting out rebounded on a regular basis?
I think it's probably defense.
Okay.
They want to be a better defensive team, and he's not a good defensive player, not at all. And I think he had a shot in the preseason. Then you saw the same mistakes he's been making year 1, year 2, year 3, and I know the injuries have set him back. Not getting that playing time, not getting NBA minutes all the time, but the defensive mistakes are just like, those are IQ things. Those are like study habits. That's not understanding concepts or the players that you're going up against. And there are too many mental mistakes on that end. But I'm not opposed to getting him some runs sometimes, especially, and this is a long year. And I don't want to see a situation where, man, you're seeing Fox, all these guys, Barnes, they're all playing heavy minutes. And then we get to January and they're in a major funk because they've been playing so many minutes and Bagley hasn't played in 2 months or Metu or whoever.
Yeah, I'd like to see him get some run. I just don't know if it's going to happen outside of injury or anything like that, but I'd like to see him get a chance out there because I know the defense is bad, but I think we can all agree there are good things that he can do out there on the court and provide for this team. So it's a curious case. I had a couple people text me yesterday, like, is he just out? And it feels like he is right now. So
yeah, I think he is now.
Speaking of Metu, you're going to be seeing a lot of him coming up pretty soon, aren't you?
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to send him down.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true too.
Because he's not on a 2-way, right? It's Keita and King. I imagine.
That's right. Metu isn't a 2-way. Oh, you're not going to see him at all. You're going to see Louis the King.
I mean, maybe they assign him. They could assign him.
Nah, don't do that.
Get him some
to pro.
But you'll see Keita, who I saw at Media Day, looks like he's in great shape. I'm excited to see him play. Ramsey should be down there. They better be playing Ramsey down there a lot. Woodard needs to get some run. Those guys just need minutes. Last year killed rookies in the NBA. Like in the bubble experience, I talked to a couple guys who were in the G League bubble, and they're like, yeah, it was 13 games, and it was not a great experience. It was tough. And for young players, what did they get out of that? They didn't get much out of it. Yeah, they got to play a little bit, but it was in a short amount of time. They played 13 games. They normally play 50 games in the G League.
Am I looking at the right schedule? The first game is tomorrow?
Yeah, November 5th, first game, and then the first home game's the 14th.
And those are your duties.
Yes. Yeah, we do the home games.
Are we what is that? Is that CW? What is it? CW? Where are we at?
I'm glad you're asking these questions. I don't know. There's been some talk about a local TV situation, but I think there's going to be some streaming options too. I'm still waiting on all the details to find out.
I see some NBA G League. I see some ESPN Plus.
Put them on YouTube. Come on. I want to go in the chat. Can you imagine the chatty house for a G League game? Let's go.
For a G League game. I'd be
on Twitch.
I'd be in the chatty house for a G League game.
That'd be legit. Like, I wouldn't hate that at all.
Yeah.
I could bootleg the stream and we could put it here. I'm sure there are consequences for that.
Honestly, they probably would like it. They'd get a little more attention.
Yeah. No, that would be dope.
I'm sure it's frowned upon.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Deuce, that we had talked about. Well, there's actually two things before you leave, but one thing, Kings related. We talked about like the attendance last night and what it was looking like in the Golden One Center, and we all have our thoughts and reasonings why it's not filled. They're not hanging from the rafters, as we like to say. What do you think about that and what's going on? Or not just in the Golden One, but it seems like around all sports.
Well, I think with the Kings specifically, you haven't won in 15 years. You still have these restrictions in place. The other thing, and I think it's a California thing, that all kids 2 years and older have to get tested before a game. And they're not vaccinated, right? I don't think the vaccine's out for 2-year-olds yet. So they have to get tested. well, it costs money to get tested, and you have to get tested. So there's like so many hurdles for people, I think, at this point because of the pandemic that like it's hard to get in. And then also like I don't know if people have that extra money to be like, hey, I'm going to go spend some money to go to a game. I think there's so many factors, and I think if this team starts really proving that they can be a winning team, more people will come out, and hopefully restrictions loosen up and you can get more people in the building. But yeah, I think part of it is that. I mean, it's a lot of people like to go take their kids to a game. And that's a big hurdle to overcome. It's like, I go get tested before a game. Yeah. I think that turns some people off.
Yeah, for sure.
It's tough. We're just because we can go, like it doesn't mean it's easy. It's still not what it used to. You know, I don't know that life in 2019 is ever coming back. Like, I don't know that you're going to have to get tested before every game, but I feel like things will be different. I think with media, like things are going to be different. Like, you know, this is a little inside, but there are like tiers on media credentials. I don't think those are going away. I think teams might start looking at it like, yeah, you don't need to be in the locker room, or you don't need to be here. You don't need to be here. I think there's going to continue to be tiers to continue to try to limit things. I just, what we knew in, December of 2019, I just don't think that's ever coming back.
Yeah, and it'd be disappointing in some ways because I think having, locker room access is pretty important, and it's not just to shove a mic in someone's face. I know that's what the people see on TV, these media scrums, but, I'd go into the locker room before the game when the locker room's open. You just catch up with the guys, right? You just talk to guys. And a lot of times,
for you, that's really important. For what you do, that's really, really important.
Yeah, I think it's important for anyone covering the team just to get to know these guys a little bit. And, they get comfortable with you. You can ask them things and, develop that relationship when that's like out the window. I mean, I think about it for G-Man, who's been calling games for 37 years. And, he's used to traveling on the road and getting to know the assistant coaches and the coaching staff and the players, being on the plane. Like that's not there right now. So you just feel so separated. And it's important too, from a storyline perspective, to just get to know these guys. And maybe you get intel on just something this player has been working on. And you only get that because you've developed a relationship with that player or someone on the coaching staff. And it's just not there. I mean, you developed with Jaeger staff just being on the floor. You got to know a lot of the assistant coaches and it's really important. And so I hope that at some point the locker rooms become open again once it's safe and that reporters can get back in there.
Yeah, for sure. It's all Kings all the time here, but Deuce, you, like myself, huge Giants fan, losing one of the great ones today, man. And I couldn't let you get out of here without saying a couple things about Gerald Buster Posey, number 28.
Yeah, it bummed me out. And it's not like a shock completely, but he took that last year off, came back. He was awesome this year.
He was. I thought he was cooked before he took the year off too. I was like,
I think a lot of people thought he was good. People thought Crawford was cooked.
Yeah.
And for him to come back, do what he did, it just what a journey for him. And he's like the classiest, most professional player out there. What he means to the pitching staff, just the Giants organization. It sucks in a lot of ways that he's done. And it just feels like it went by so fast. I mean, just the excitement of him coming up, late 2009. And then, of course, the 2010 season for him where he was amazing. Yeah, it bummed me out a lot because he is just the ultimate pro. And he's going to be a Hall of Famer that win an MVP, Rookie of the Year, 3 World Series championships. I love that guy. I think he goes down as one of the best Giants of all time. No doubt about it.
Without it. I think he skyrockets up off the top of my head. It's like Mays, who I didn't see, but that's Mays, McCovey, Bonds, and Posey.
Yeah. And I think at one point it looked like Lincecum was tracking that way, but he tailed off. I mean, and all these guys we talk about, Lincecum, Kane, they're all big time Mad Bum.
Yeah.
They're all iconic, but Posey was the mainstay. He was there the whole time.
He's the one that stayed through it all.
Yeah. And just his career, his journey from the highs to the low of missing that year after the play at the plate to coming back. And then also having moments where it's like, oh, wow, he's no power whatsoever.
Right.
He's toast. And to see how he came back this year. And I'm glad I was at that game 1.
That was pretty cool.
Between the Dodgers and Giants, seeing him hit that big home run.